In the shadowy corners of love, where trust turns to betrayal and devotion transforms into obsession, lies a story too horrifying to ignore. This is not just a tale of romance gone wrong. It is a chilling descent into the abyss of human darkness. A relationship that began with tender promises ends in unimaginable violence, as one life is extinguished and the other consumed by the consequences of their actions. This is the story of Shraddha Walkar and Aftab Poonawalla, a love that turned deadly, a murder that shook a nation, and a haunting reminder of how close the line between love and destruction can be. Shraddha Walkar and Aftab Poonawalla's story begins like many modern-day romances, on a dating app that promises to bring people together in a world of fleeting connections. It was 2018 when Shraddha, a bright, independent young woman from Vasai, Maharashtra, swiped right on Aftab. He was charismatic, a culinary enthusiast, and a budding photographer who knew how to hold an engaging conversation. Their shared interests in travel, food, and exploration quickly turned their online chats into face-to-face meetings. For Shraddha, Aftab was not just a romantic partner, but also someone who seemed to understand her zest for life. Despite the initial spark of happiness, what began as a seemingly ordinary love story would unravel into one of the most harrowing tales of betrayal and violence the country has ever witnessed. Shraddha was born in 1995 into a middle-class family. She had a quiet upbringing, surrounded by her mother and brother in the town of Vasai. Her father, Vikas Walkar, lived separately due to family disputes. But despite this, Shraddha's life was marked by a sense of warmth and community. After completing her schooling at a convent in Vasai, Shraddha joined Viva Institute of Technology for a BMM course, though she later dropped out. Like many of her peers, she was searching for her identity, for a path that would lead her to a fulfilling life. Her job at a call center in Malad gave her both financial independence and a chance to meet new people. It was during this phase of newfound freedom and ambition that Aftab entered her life. Aftab, a resident of the same town, was everything Shraddha found fascinating. He was confident, articulate, and had a love for the arts. Having attended LS Raheja College for his BMM studies, Aftab had a creative streak that resonated with Shraddha's adventurous spirit. Their initial meetings were filled with laughter, long conversations, and shared dreams. Aftab was attentive and kind, someone who seemed to care deeply for Shraddha. Slowly but surely, their relationship deepened. Within months, they were inseparable, spending every possible moment together. However, as their relationship grew more serious, Shraddha faced resistance from her family. Her father disapproved of Aftab, citing their different religious backgrounds and her relative lack of familiarity with him. For Vikas, Aftab was an outsider who couldn't be trusted, but for Shraddha, love was enough. She defied her family's wishes and moved in with Aftab in 2019, marking the start of their live-in relationship. At first, everything seemed picture perfect. Shraddha and Aftab enjoyed exploring Mumbai's vibrant food scene, planning vacations, and building what Shraddha believed was their future together. But beneath this veneer of happiness, troubling signs began to surface. Shraddha confided in her closest friends about Aftab's temper. Arguments over minor issues would escalate into shouting matches, and Aftab's behavior became increasingly controlling. He didn't approve of Shraddha talking to her male friends and began to isolate her from her social circle. Initially, Shraddha dismissed these red flags, attributing them to Aftab's stress or insecurities. She believed that love could conquer these flaws, that things would improve with time. But time only worsened the situation. By late 2020, the arguments turned physical. Shraddha's friends began noticing bruises on her arms and changes in her demeanor. The once vibrant and confident young woman was now reserved and withdrawn. Despite their concerns, Shraddha continued to defend Aftab. saying he was apologetic after every incident and that he promised to change. Her emotional attachment to him, combined with the hope of salvaging their relationship, kept her from walking away. In early 2022, the couple decided to move to Delhi, seeking a fresh start away from the judgment and interference of family and friends. They rented a small apartment in Chhatarpur, believing that the change in environment would help them rebuild their bond. The move to Delhi, however, only deepened Shraddha's isolation. Away from her support system, she found herself increasingly trapped in a toxic cycle of emotional and physical abuse. Aftab's controlling behavior worsened, and their fights grew more frequent. Financial issues, arguments over trust, and Shraddha's desire for marriage became recurring points of contention. Despite these challenges, Shraddha continued to hold on to the relationship, perhaps out of love, perhaps out of fear, or perhaps out of the hope that Aftab would eventually change. On the night of May 18, 2022, their relationship reached its breaking point. The couple had a heated argument about marriage, with Shraddha pressuring Aftab to commit and Aftab resisting. The fight spiraled out of control. In a fit of rage, Aftab strangled Shraddha to death. What followed was an act so gruesome that it shocked the entire nation. After realizing what he had done, Aftab's response was not one of remorse, but cold calculation. He decided to cover up the murder by dismembering Shraddha's body into 35 pieces. As a trained chef, he had the skills to meticulously carry out the act. He purchased a large 300-liter refrigerator to store the body parts and spent the next 18 days disposing of them piece by piece in Chhatarpur forest, often under the cover of darkness. To avoid suspicion, Aftab continued living in the apartment, sleeping in the same room where he had committed the crime. He even cleaned the bloodstains from the floor and disposed of Shraddha's belongings to erase any evidence. Months passed, and Shraddha's absence went unnoticed by many, except for her father. Vikas Walkar, who had been estranged from Shraddha for some time, became concerned when he couldn't reach her. Her friends also began to worry, having not heard from her for months. In November 2022, Vikas filed a missing persons report, prompting the Delhi police to launch an investigation. The police traced Shraddha's last known location to the Chhatarpur apartment and brought Aftab in for questioning. Initially, he claimed that Shraddha had left him after a fight, but under intense interrogation, Aftab's story began to unravel. He eventually confessed to the murder, detailing how he had planned and executed the crime. His chilling confession sent shockwaves across the nation. The discovery of Shraddha's remains in the forest added to the horror. The police recovered 13 decomposed body parts, mostly bones, which were later confirmed to belong to Shraddha through DNA testing. Aftab's lack of remorse and his calculated approach to covering up the crime highlighted the darkness that had consumed their relationship. The public outcry was immense. Candlelight vigils were held across the country, and social media was flooded with messages demanding justice for Shraddha. Her murder became a symbol of the dangers of unchecked domestic violence and the failure of societal systems to protect vulnerable individuals. Aftab was arrested and charged with murder. The Delhi police filed a comprehensive charge sheet, backed by forensic evidence, witness testimonies, and Aftab's confession. The trial attracted national attention, with every detail scrutinized by the media and the public. Shraddha's family, still reeling from the loss, demanded the harshest punishment for Aftab. Her father, in particular, expressed deep regret for not being able to save his daughter. The court proceedings revealed further chilling details about Aftab's actions, painting a picture of a man who had completely detached himself from any sense of morality. As the trial continues, Shraddha's story serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse and taking action. It is a tale of love turned to manipulation, of trust exploited, and of dreams extinguished too soon. Her voice may have been silenced, but her story echoes in the hearts of those who hear it. A call to stand against violence, to protect those in vulnerable situations, and to ensure that no one else suffers the same fate. Shraddha Walkar's life and death have left an indelible mark on the nation, a reminder that love, when tainted by control and abuse, can lead to devastating consequences. Let her story not just be a tale of tragedy, but a wake-up call to a society that too often turns a blind eye to the cries for help. And so, what began as a story of love ended in unspeakable horror. Shraddha Walkar's voice was silenced, her dreams shattered, her life stolen by the very person she trusted the most. The scars of this tragedy linger, not just in the broken hearts of those who loved her, but as a grim reminder of the darkness that can hide behind the mask of love. In the end, we are left with only questions. How did it come to this? And how many more cries for help will go unheard before the cycle of violence is broken? Shraddha's story must not fade into silence. It must haunt us, compel us, and demand that we do better. For her, and for every voice silenced too soon.